Hello Arsenal fans and welcome back to the channel. We have a huge Arsenal transfer update for you today with the summer transfer window now entering its final days. The pressure is building at the Emirates and Arsenal could be heading into a very busy period before the transfer deadline. There are major developments involving Julian Alvarez, Gabriel Martinelli, Reiss Nelson, Igor Paixão and even Martin Zubimendi. And honestly, Arsenal's transfer window could be about to take another dramatic turn. The biggest story of course is Julian Alvarez. Arsenal have been keeping a close eye on the Atletico Madrid striker, and now Atletico's CEO Miguel Angel Gil Marin has delivered a very interesting statement about the player's future. He has completely ruled out Barcelona as a destination, but at the same time he admitted that if Alvarez wants to leave Atletico, the club will have to look for an alternative. That could potentially open the door for Arsenal. But while Arsenal are looking at Alvarez, there is also major movement in the opposite direction. Gabriel Martinelli is reportedly on his way out. The Brazilian winger is reportedly set to join Saudi Pro League club Al Hilal, with reports of a deal worth around £50 million, and Arsenal are already looking at replacements. One of the names being discussed is Igor Paixão, the Marseille winger who has also attracted interest from several Premier League clubs. Meanwhile, Reiss Nelson's Arsenal contract has reportedly been terminated by mutual agreement, bringing another chapter of his Arsenal career to an end. And as if that wasn't enough, Real Madrid are reportedly interested in Martin Zubimendi, so there is a lot to discuss. Let's get straight into today's Arsenal transfer news. Let's start with the player Arsenal fans are watching most closely, Julian Alvarez. The Argentine striker remains one of Arsenal's biggest targets as the club considers whether to make a late move before the transfer window closes. For weeks, this has been one of the most complicated transfer stories in European football. Alvarez has reportedly been unhappy with aspects of his situation at Atletico Madrid and has been linked with a move away from the Spanish club. Barcelona have also been heavily involved in the story, but Atletico Madrid have now made their position crystal clear. They do not want to negotiate with Barcelona, and this is where Arsenal could potentially benefit, because if Alvarez genuinely wants to leave Atletico Madrid, but Barcelona are not an option, the number of realistic destinations becomes much smaller. Arsenal are one of the clubs capable of making a major investment in an elite striker. But there is still a massive question. Does Julian Alvarez want Arsenal? That is probably the most important question in this entire transfer saga. Atletico Madrid CAO Miguel Angel Gil Marin has now spoken publicly about Alvarez's situation, and his comments are extremely interesting. He explained that his personal dream is for Julian Alvarez to remain at Atletico. However, he also admitted that if the player wants to leave, the club will have to look for an alternative. But then came the strongest part of his statement. He said Alvarez will never go to Barcelona. According to the comments quoted in the report, Atletico are refusing to negotiate with Barcelona. That is a very strong position. It tells us that Atletico are not simply trying to negotiate the best possible price with Barcelona. They appear to have drawn a line. Barcelona is not an option, and that could be significant for Arsenal, because Arsenal's potential opportunity depends heavily on what happens next. If Alvarez accepts that Barcelona is effectively unavailable, then he has to consider his other options, and Arsenal could be one of them. This is where things become really interesting for Arsenal supporters. Imagine Alvarez's situation. He is 26 years old. He has already won major trophies. He knows English football from his time at Manchester City. He has experience playing at the highest level. And now he is facing a major decision about the next stage of his career. Barcelona may be his preferred destination, but Atletico are reportedly refusing to sell him there. So what happens if he decides he absolutely wants to leave? Arsenal suddenly become a very attractive alternative. The Gunners can offer Champions League football, they can offer a competitive squad, they can offer a manager in Mikel Arteta who has built a very clear tactical identity. And, perhaps most importantly, Arsenal can offer Alvarez the opportunity to become one of the central figures in a team competing for the biggest trophies in England and Europe. That is a very powerful proposition. But Arsenal cannot simply assume the player will choose them. The player has to be convinced, and that is why the coming days could be so important. The biggest problem for Arsenal is the clock. There are only a few days left before the transfer window closes. That means Arsenal cannot spend weeks waiting for the situation to resolve itself. If the club genuinely wants Alvarez, they need clarity from the players' camp. Arsenal reportedly do not want to launch an enormous bid for a player who is not completely convinced about joining. That is understandable. A transfer of this size could potentially involve an enormous fee, massive wages, and a long-term contract. You don't spend that kind of money unless you believe the player genuinely wants to be there, so Arsenal are essentially waiting for one thing: a clear signal from Julian Alvarez. If that signal arrives, Arsenal could potentially move. If it doesn't, the club may have to move on. And this is why every new development from Madrid is being watched so closely. Arsenal reportedly do not want to lose Martinelli without bringing in another attacking player. And one name has now emerged. Igor Paixão, the Brazilian winger, is reportedly being considered as a potential replacement for Martinelli. Paixão currently plays for Marseille and has been attracting attention from several clubs. The situation at Marseille could potentially make a transfer possible. The French club is reportedly facing financial pressure, which could make them more willing to listen to offers. But Arsenal are not the only Premier League club interested. Sunderland, Aston Villa and Leeds United have also been linked with the player, so if Arsenal genuinely want Paixão, they could face competition. The question is whether Arsenal would consider him the ideal replacement for Martinelli. Paixão is a different type of player, but he brings creativity, pace and attacking quality. And at the right price, Arsenal could see him as an attractive option. Let's look at why Paixão might make sense. Arsenal's attacking system requires wingers who can operate in tight spaces, players who can receive the ball under pressure, players who can beat defenders, and players who can contribute goals and assists. Paixão has demonstrated those qualities during his career. The question is whether he can immediately adapt to the intensity of Premier League football. That's always the biggest challenge for a player moving from League One to England. The Premier League is faster, the physical demands are enormous, and the pressure at Arsenal is particularly high. But Arsenal's recruitment team clearly appears to be looking for players who can fit the club's long-term project. If Martinelli leaves, Arsenal cannot afford to have a huge drop-off in quality on the wing. So Paixão could potentially become a very important signing. Another major departure involves Reiss Nelson. According to reports from The Athletic, Arsenal and Nelson have mutually agreed to terminate his contract 1 year early. This means the winger is now able to assess his options and decide where he wants to continue his career. Nelson's Arsenal story is a long one. He came through the club's academy and was considered one of the most exciting young talents of his generation. But establishing himself permanently in Arsenal's first team proved difficult. Over the last 2 seasons, he spent time away from the club on loan, including spells with Fulham and Brentford. Those loan moves gave him opportunities to play regularly. But now his Arsenal chapter appears to be coming to an end. It is another example of how Arteta and Arsenal are reshaping the squad. Now we have another surprising development. Martin Zubimendi has reportedly attracted interest from Real Madrid. According to the report, Jose Mourinho has highlighted Zubimendi as a potential addition to the Real Madrid first team. The reported valuation is around £64 million, and this would obviously be a major concern for Arsenal supporters. Zubimendi only recently became an important part of Arsenal's midfield plans. He is exactly the kind of midfielder Arteta wants. Technically excellent, comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, excellent positional awareness, and capable of controlling the tempo of a match. So why would Arsenal consider selling him? The answer is simple. They probably wouldn't want to. But football is unpredictable. If Real Madrid come calling with a major offer and the player is attracted by the possibility of returning to Spain, Arsenal could face a difficult decision. Arsenal are potentially dealing with several major situations simultaneously. Julian Alvarez, possible late move. Gabriel Martinelli, possible exit to Al Hilal. Igor Paixão, possible replacement. Reiss Nelson, contract reportedly terminated. Martin Zubimendi, interest from Real Madrid. If you enjoyed this Arsenal transfer update, like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because the transfer window is almost closed and things could change very quickly. Alvarez could arrive, Martinelli could leave, Paixão could replace him, and Zubimendi could have Real Madrid waiting. There is still plenty. Come on, you Gunners!